All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're digging into a really powerful tool that could completely change how you look at your business. It's a framework built for anyone in a leadership role who has to make those tough, strategic calls about where to put their time, their money, and their best people. Okay, let's get into it. I mean, this is the big question, right? Every single day, you're looking at this whole universe of tasks and processes. Some of them feel absolutely critical, and others, well, they just feel like something you have to do. Do you sink more money into your customer service, or is it better to automate your invoicing system? Should you outsource all your IT, or do you need to build that team in-house? Making the wrong choice here can waste a ton of money and just kill your competitive edge. But making the right call, that can put you way ahead of the competition.
So, to cut through all that confusion, here's our game plan. We're going to start by getting to know the Harmon matrix itself. Then, we'll dive into the two main types of processes it helps us sort out: your support processes and your core processes. And finally, we'll see how it all fits together to give you a really solid strategic blueprint.
Okay, let's get right to the good stuff. The Harmon Matrix, you can think of it like a GPS for your company's operations. It was developed by Paul Harmon, and it's way more than just some business school theory. It gives you a super clear visual map of every single thing your company does, so you can finally understand what each process is really for. So here's the official definition. It's a framework that doesn't just analyze things, it pushes you toward a decision. It makes you stop looking at tasks one by one and instead forces you to grade them on two really important scales. And once you do that, the matrix basically tells you what you should do with them. So what are these two scales? First up, running along the bottom, we've got the x-axis, strategic importance. This is the big picture question. You have to ask, does this process actually help us win against our competitors? If something has high strategic importance, it's part of your secret sauce. It's why customers pick you. On the other end of the scale, if it has low strategic importance, it's more like an administrative chore. Yeah, it needs to get done, but it's not what makes your company special. And then, running up the side, we have our y-axis, process complexity. This is all about the how. Is the process pretty straightforward, stable, something you could write down in a manual? Well, that's low complexity. Or is it constantly changing, needing expert knowledge and a lot of judgment calls? That's high complexity. And once you plot your processes on this grid, the right path forward starts to become incredibly obvious. All right, let's start our tour of the matrix. And we're going to begin on the bottom half. We're focusing on all the things that have low strategic importance. We call these support processes. Now, don't get me wrong. They are absolutely essential. They're the engine room that keeps the ship moving, but they are not the reason your customers choose to do business with you. So here we are in the bottom left corner, quadrant 1. This is the zone for things with low strategic importance and low process complexity. These are your standard, routine, back office jobs. They're predictable, they're stable, and they don't give you any kind of edge in the market. Think of them as the cost of doing business. They have to happen, but honestly, every minute and every dollar you spend here is a resource you're not using for what really counts. And that leads us to a super clear strategy: automate or outsource. The name of the game here is efficiency, pure and simple. You want to make these processes as cheap, fast, and mistake-free as you possibly can. Why? So you can free up your most important assets, your people and your money, for the stuff that's actually going to grow the business. And you know these examples instantly. Take payroll. It is absolutely vital that you pay your people correctly and on time, but I guarantee no customer has ever chosen your company because of how great your payroll system is. It's a classic low complexity, low importance task. So it's a perfect candidate for some good software or just outsourcing it to a company that specializes in it. Same thing goes for running the office kitchen, hiring cleaning services, or handling mind-numbing data entry. Just get it off your plate as efficiently as possible. Okay, let's slide over to the right on our grid. We're now in quadrant 2. Notice we are still in the low strategic importance territory. This stuff is not your core business. But here's the big difference. We've jumped way up to high process complexity. These are tasks that are really difficult, they require very specific skills, and they can be unpredictable. Because these processes are so complex, but they aren't core to what you do, the strategy is incredibly direct. Outsource it. Just hand it over to an expert. Why? Because trying to build and maintain that level of specialized knowledge inside your own company is ridiculously expensive and a huge distraction from your real mission. It's just so much smarter to hire a firm whose entire reason for being is to master that one specific, complicated thing. Let's look at some real-world examples here. Think about preparing your company's taxes. The tax code is a nightmare, it's always changing. It makes zero sense for most businesses to have a full-time team of tax attorneys on staff. You just outsource it to an accounting firm. The same thing is true for specialized legal work. Or think about a tech startup. Their mission is to build an incredible new app, not to become world-class experts in managing servers and fighting off hackers. They wisely outsource all of that to a cloud provider like Amazon Web Services or a dedicated cybersecurity company. So let's just pause for a second and put these two support quadrants side by side. When you're looking at a process that isn't strategic, the main thing that decides your strategy is its complexity. If it's simple and repetitive, you've got a choice: automate it with software or outsource it. But the second that non-strategic process gets complicated and needs real dynamic expertise, the best move is almost always to outsource it to someone who lives and breathes that stuff. Okay, now we move up the matrix into the top half, and this is where things get really interesting. We're now talking about processes with high strategic importance. These are your core processes. This is the reason your company exists. It's the source of your competitive advantage. This is the part of your business you have to protect and grow, no matter what. Let's look at quadrant 3. In this box, we have processes that are absolutely critical for your success, but at the same time, they're pretty simple, stable, and repeatable. These are the bedrock of what you promise your customers. They deliver consistent quality, day in and day out. So the strategy here is crystal clear: automate. You want to turn these processes into a perfect system. The goal is to make them flawless, consistent, scalable, and super efficient. Because the process itself is your advantage, perfecting it with automation just locks in that advantage and lets you do it bigger and better. Just think about McDonald's for a second. The way they assemble a Big Mac is absolutely core to their brand promise of fast, consistent food. It's strategically vital. But the process itself is designed to be simple and repeatable by anyone. By automating things like the timers on the fryers and the soda dispensers, they guarantee that same speed and quality every time in every restaurant around the world. An online store's payment system is another perfect example. It's totally critical. If it breaks, you make no money. But for the customer, it needs to be a simple and visible automated task. And that brings us to the final, and I'd argue, the most important quadrant. Quadrant 4, high strategic importance and high process complexity. Folks, these are the crown jewels of your company. This is the unique, dynamic, knowledge-heavy work that makes you different from everybody else. This is where your real innovation, your creativity, and your special expertise lives. For these processes, the strategy is simple. You treat them like gold. You keep them in-house, you put your absolute best people in charge of them, and you are constantly investing in making them better and redesigning them for the future. Outsourcing anything from this quadrant would be like Coca-Cola giving away its secret formula. All that time and money you save from the other 3 quadrants, you pour it right here. The examples here are just iconic. Think about Apple's product design process. It's the heart and soul of their entire brand. It's complex, it's creative, and it's the reason they have such a huge advantage. I mean, can you even imagine them outsourcing the design of the next iPhone? No way, it would never happen. The same goes for a drug company's research and development for a new cancer treatment, or Mercedes-Benz's process for designing the next S-Class. These are the core skills that define these companies and secure their future. So, now that we've taken a trip through all 4 quadrants, we've seen how to handle everything from the simple support chores to complex expert functions to your repeatable core processes, and all the way to the crown jewels. Let's zoom out and see what this all means for you. You know, this is the real payoff of using the Harmon matrix. It's not just some nerdy exercise in putting things in boxes. It's a practical, powerful tool for making sure that what you do every single day, your investments, who you hire, the technology you buy, is perfectly lined up with your big picture strategy. It helps you stop wasting time and money on things that just don't matter, and instead double down on the things that actually do. So I'll leave you with a question. I want you to take a minute and actually apply this to your own world. Think about your business or your team. What are the processes that fall into that top right box? The complex, strategic work that defines your value. And maybe even more important, what's in the other 3 quadrants? What routine stuff can you automate? What complex but non-core work can you outsource to an expert? Answering that question, that's not just an exercise. That is the first real step toward building a smarter, stronger, and way more successful organization.